Hey guys, I've been thinking since Succession is ending, I love when shows end after only a few seasons, because they don't give themselves a chance to go bad. They are able to end on a good ending note, you don't drag it on too long, have most of the characters leave the show, try to keep the momentum going even though you've clearly run out of ideas, and I feel like that's how a lot of shows go. But, sometimes it works. Sometimes you have shows like Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul that don't overstay their welcomes. You have Mr. Robot, which has a full season plan where it ties everything together perfectly. Or you have Ted Lasso, which is planning on having a third and final season, and they said they always had a three-season plan, which I really respect. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to be talking about all the shows that should have ended way earlier, or just really lost steam in the final couple seasons. Or maybe they're still on, and they still suck. So for this list, I'm going to start off with small examples, shows that aren't awful, they just lost their luster, and then slowly work my way up to the biggest abominations in television history. Starting off, I'm going to do a honorable mention because I have not seen the show, but my sister wanted me to put it on the list. Shameless. So I haven't, like I said, I don't really know what the show's about much, but my sister said that the first five seasons were great, the rest was kind of mid, and the final season was awful. So I just thought it's worth a mention, even though I haven't seen it. Now moving on to the real list. So like I said, we're going to start off small. I think Silicon Valley really it kind of dropped the ball the last couple seasons. It was still funny. It still had some good moments, but I feel like overall it wasn't as sharp as it used to be. It kind of just seemed like they were going by the old formula, They weren't really doing anything new or inventive. Though I thought the finale was pretty good. I feel like a lot of it was kind of just treading along, So that's why it's at the bottom of the list because it wasn't awful. It was just kind of you know, oh, the show's still on. Okay, next we got True Detective, which is kind of a strange case because it is an anthology series, so every season is different. But that could kind of work in season a lot. Season one of True Detective is one of the greatest seasons in television history. So anything could have been worse than that. But it's just the fact that season two was such a huge step down. Maybe if it wasn't called True Detective, it was called False Criminal or something. I don't know. But I feel like season two is very by the bones, mediocre. Just ooh, it's another L.A. cop story about crooked cops. While season one was so much more complex and unique. Though I do think season three is a big step up from season one. It's still nowhere near it's I mean the big step up from season two. It's still nowhere near season one. But I would say season three is far better than season two. And I hope season four is pretty good. I know Jodie Foster's in it, Christopher Eccleston's in it. Those are two good actors, so it might turn itself around. Who knows? Moving on to the original series of Twin Peaks. So this Twin Peaks is a very unique case because it started off great, and then halfway through season two, after you found out who killed Laura Palmer, not gonna spoil it, they didn't know what to do, so it kind of sunk. But then those last three episodes of season two were very good, and then it got canceled because everybody stopped watching during the slump. But then it got brought back 26 years later, and it was amazing. So Twin Peaks is a very odd thing. But I'm just gonna put it on this list because that middle section of season two is rough. That whole James moving to the next town plot line, the Ben becoming a civil general. What the hell was any of that about? Who knows? But yeah, I tend to skip those episodes on rewatch. Moving on to Seinfeld, which is on this list because I feel like the final season is actually really good. It's one of the stronger seasons of Seinfeld, but that finale is so goddamn awful. It deserves a spot on this list just for that alone. Jesus Christ! Who thought that would be a good idea? Oh yeah, Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. It's such a bad finale that Larry David said that's the reason he hasn't ended Curb Enthusiasm because he doesn't want to disappoint people. Going with another shitty finale, so it's just gonna go on forever. Which honestly I'm fine with, even though I'm not caught up with that. Moving on to Community, which also a very weird example because seasons one through three are flawless, mostly flawless. Season four comes around, the creators filed, so it became awful. Season five, it gets really good again. because the creator's back. But then they lose like half the cast, so season six kind of mediocre. Which is why it's still pretty low on this list because it's not an awful final season. It just feels like a skeleton crew. Like half the characters you love are gone. Um, it's just not the same without like Pierce or Troy or Sully. Like I know they all had good reasons to leave the show. Some behind the scenes drama when it comes to Pierce, but I just feel like the show's kind of on its course at the moment. But hopefully, the community movie's coming up. I know Sully's going to be in it. I hope Troy's going to be in it. So that might turn it around. But I feel like the community, like the last three episodes, were really good. Which is a trend I'm seeing on this list when it comes to sitcom final seasons. Moving on to One Punch Man, which is another strange example because while season two I felt like the writing was still pretty strong, the animation sucks ass. The animation is awful. Like I know it's a different studio, but it looks awful. Like there's this whole like 10 seconds or nothing happens on the screen. The character just stays still. Like I hate when anime does that. But the plot was still pretty good. Hopefully season three is good. If hopefully they step up the animation. But I don't know. There's really not much to say about that. Moving on to Sherlock, which kind of like Seinfeld was really good until the finale. Because I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with Sherlock. Like it's so dumb. The episode before the finale was awesome. Toby Jones plays such a creepy dude. I love it. But then the finale, it's like Sherlock has an evil sister and Moriarty's dead, but he's not dead, and blah blah blah. Sherlock forgot about his sister. He thought the dog died, but it was his friend who died. It's like whoa 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 whoa. Slow down, guys. That's a little too far-fetched even for this show. It was stupid. It was dumb. And what a way to end an amazing series with that shitty finale. I know, like, I'm kind of in the minority because I think a lot of people like the finale of Sherlock, but what the fuck, Moffat? Like, Stephen Moffat's my dude. You know how much I love him. Look at this. Look at these Doctor Who DVDs I have. You know? But he really dropped the ball. I'm kind of disappointed in him. Okay, moving on to Rick and Morty, which I'm a little bit biased because I stopped watching the show a little while ago. So I like the first full seasons, but season five I only made it halfway through because I feel like while season five started off good, it like really jumped like it really fell off a cliff. Like it just wasn't funny anymore. They're trying too hard to be edgy. Um, and I was kind of getting tired of like the whole toxic family dynamic. It stopped being funny and just became like sad, you know? Um, but yeah. I hope it gets good again, so maybe I'll watch it again. But then also Justin Roiland's on trial for things, so if those things turn out to be true, that's gonna be a little upsetting. I heard they're replacing Rick and Morty's voice, which is gonna be interesting. My picks are um, Peter Capaldi and Michael Cera, but that's just me. I feel like the show just lost its like creativity, I guess. I don't know. Moving on to Death Note. So, the first half of Death Note is like God tier television. It's this ultimate like high stakes battle between these two geniuses. But then the good guy dies in a crazy episode. But then you're left watching the rest of the series like, okay, now what? They try to replace him with this other super genius, but it's just not the same. They don't have that rivalry that kept the first half so engaging. Um, so I felt like it kind of fell apart. Like the finale was pretty good, but it was just kind of like, oh, that's it. Okay. Moving on to Black Mirror. So like Rick and Morty, I really haven't finished it because it just stopped being like it lost its edge. The first three seasons were so like holy shit tense, and you see like dystopian nightmare stuff, and season four is just like too many episodes were happy. And I know that makes me sound like a very like, weird person for not liking happy TV, but like this is Black Mirror we're talking about. It's supposed to make you feel like upset. And it really didn't do that for me in the fourth season. I didn't even watch season five. I don't know. Is that show still on? I don't know. It just felt like it lost its edge. Moving on to Homeland, which I've seen the first five seasons before I kind of gave up on. Seasons one through three were amazing. The whole like dynamic between uh, Claire Danes' character and the other guy, it's been a while, was so cool. Like, is he a terrorist? Is he not a terrorist? Is he still with the terrorists? Is he not with the terrorists anymore? It was so interesting. And then they kill him off at the end of season 3. And then we're like shifted into this whole new plot line that has nothing to do with the first 3 seasons. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess they're trying something new. But it really like it's not the same, you know? And like maybe it gets good again. I don't know. Like I said, I never finished it. But I felt like it's like, okay, now it's just kind of the same old thing over and over again. I didn't like season 4, the policy to seduce that terrorist teenager. That was wrong in multiple levels. Um, and season 5 was very like not memorable at all. I did like how the Miranda Otto was in it. But after season 5, I was just like, oh okay, I think I'm done. Moving on, we have Dragon Ball Z. So Dragon Ball was never really a good show. I'm just gonna say that right there. I watch it because it's bad. But even like to a point, Dragon Ball Z, like those final couple seasons were so goddamn awful. It's it's like even by Dragon Ball standards, you know. It's like none of the characters really like use their brains. It's just like punch, punch, kick, kick, kamehameha. Oh, I'm evolving into a super duper lupul Saiyan. Ooh, wow. It's and like death has no consequences. Characters just keep dying and coming back. The other characters on the show were like extras by the end of it. If you weren't Goku or Vegeta, you ain't worth shit. It was just bad. That whole like Boo arc was like not even like fun bad. It got like annoying bad after a while. Its whole like real friendship with Mr. Satan. That was a strange. That was a strange time. Well, I think Dragon Ball Super is actually better, but that's just like than those final couple seasons of Dragon Ball Z. But that's just my opinion. I know everybody hates me for that opinion, but it's true. Okay, next we got Arrested Development. We're going into some big stinkers over here. So, for those of you who don't know, Arrested Development lasted 3 seasons on Fox before being canceled. And it was brought back about like 8 years later on Netflix, and it was dog shit. Like the original Arrested Development was so clever and intricate with the jokes, and the new one felt like it was like relying way too much on old running gags. Like they didn't really come up with any new stuff. It's just like, okay, yeah, same old running gag, ha ha ha, Mr. F, we get it. And then season 5 happened, and I was like, oh, maybe maybe they learned the lesson. It's been another 5 year break. Maybe they'll. Oh no, it sucks again. So I don't know. The finale was pretty good, but for the most part, it was just like the same old jokes over and over again, and it really just, how the mighty have fallen. Speaking about how the mighty have fallen, let's talk about Fargo. So I was in denial for a while. I loved Fargo seasons 1 through 3. Like those were some god tier television, like almost flawless. So I was so excited about season 4, and season 4 sucked. Like, you don't care about any of these characters. You don't really get attached to them the same way you did with the first 3 seasons. Everything just kind of happens. Like, there's no huge plot twists. They had that weird Wizard of Oz episode, which I kind of hated. It was just like, you didn't, you didn't give a fuck about anything. And I was in denial about that for a while. I was like, okay, it's a slow start. Maybe it'll be picking up. It'll get going soon. Nope. Never got going. It was just a big old wimple from start to finish. Hopefully season 5 could turn it around, but season 4 still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I know it was like 2 years ago, but I'm still upset. Moving on to Doctor Who. Oh god, have I talked about Doctor Who on this channel? Um, Now, if you've seen this wall behind me, you know that Doctor Who's one of probably my favorite show of all time. The one I have the biggest emotional connection to. And, you know, every time a doctor leaves, I'm like, oh, the next doctor's gonna be awful, but then the next doctor turns out to be awesome. That didn't happen with the 13th Doctor. Now, it's not Jodie Whittaker's fault. I think she did fine, so you just look into the scripts he's given. It's Chris Chibnall. He took over from my man Stephen Moffat in 2018 and completely run the show into the ground. Just a bunch of nonsense. Companions had no personalities. The villains weren't memorable. The dialogue was like awful. It's like written by somebody who's never heard people speak in their lives. The 13th Doctor is not a strong character. She seems like it's just a big mess. If you want to see my thoughts, just watch my videos on Doctor Who. But it's a very strange phenomenon because all three seasons, while having those problems I listed, also have their own mini sets of problems. Like, Series 11 has no stakes or character growth. It's just nothing going on. It's just a whole 10 episodes. It seems like filler for like a plot that doesn't even exist. Series 12 had the whole timeless children shit, and just, oh God, that was awful. And there's just a bunch of bad episodes within it. Series 13 was 6 episodes of incomprehensible garbage. Like, who knows what any of that was supposed to mean. And it's like, oh no, that's the point. No, I should understand at least a little bit. And then the specials were very mixed. You know, like, I think the whole finale was pretty good, but right before that you had the Sea Devils. What the hell? Anyway, I'm sick of talking about that. You know, I think the show's gonna get better soon, because Russell T Davies is coming back, and he's the man who made all the ninth and 10th Doctor episodes, so, you know, I trust him. So I think the show's gonna be good again, hopefully. Moving on to How I Met Your Mother, which now we're getting into, like, shows that I'll have such bad endings that it ruins rewatchability. You know, with shows like Seinfeld, you could just pretend the final episode never happened because it doesn't really affect anything that came before it. You know, there's no huge build up. Um, Arrested Development, you could just pretend the show ends after season three. Not with How I Met Your Mother, because whole show's about meeting the mother, and then you fucking kill her off in the last episode, and then Ted's like, "Oh, could I ask out Robin now?" And then that's the end. Also, you set like this whole season about like Barney and Robin getting married, and then the finale is like, oh yeah, they broke up. What? What's the point of any of this? It was awful. I'm not even the biggest fan of that show. I haven't even seen all the episodes. I've only seen some of the episodes, but even I was upset. Imagine people who actually like watched the show beginning to end. Whoa. Moving on to the X Files, which is one of the biggest examples on this list. So I think seasons 1 through 6 are god tier television. But around season 7, I realized, oh, they have no plan. Like, they don't know how the show's gonna end. It's just the whole mythology. They're just making it up as they go along. And while they still had some good standalone episodes, I could tell the whole show was like spiraling. Because it's just like when instead of solving any mysteries, they'd solve like one mystery and then create like five more ones. So it's just this never-ending mess. And you could tell Chris Carter had no idea what he was doing with any of it. A lot of people think this like started after Duchovny left the series, and I really think him leaving the series wasn't as big as a factor as people thought. Because I actually liked Doggett. He was one of the saving graces. Because I think the decline started before he left the series. Like I said, he left at the end of season 7. The show got bad at the beginning of season 7. So, I don't know. It's just a mess. And then they brought it back years later, and like all of us fans were like, oh, they're finally gonna wrap the story up. Give us some answers. They don't. They don't answer anything. They just leave it open again. It's like, what's the point of any of this? Why are we doing this? On to why are we doing this? We have The Simpsons. So, you know, the first 8 or 9 seasons of the show, comedy gold. And then it kept going, and going, and going, and going. And it was just lifeless. It's like everybody on the show's phoning it in. From the voice actors to the writers to the animators. It just feels so cookie cutter now. It's really disappointing. This list is getting more and more depressing, and I know, I shouldn't care. It's just TV shows, right? But, you know, when a show like The Simpsons gets 40 seasons, and, like, more than half of those are mediocre, but then you have Firefly, which gets canceled after one season. You know what I'm talking about? Moving on to SpongeBob. Man, you know, if you're in, if you grew up in, like, the 2000s, like I did, you know, or the early 2010s, or the late 90s, you love SpongeBob. You know, it's just a fact. Don't pretend like you don't. I know you love SpongeBob, unless you're like those very strict parents. But yeah, you know, the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob were amazing. Like, the pinnacle of comedy. Season 4 kind of lost it. Still had some good episodes, but all four kind of mixed. And then it completely went off the rails. Like, I think they should have ended it after Hillenburg left after season 3. But like The Simpsons, kept going and going and going. How many seasons are of that show anyway? Yeah, they're on season 13. That's like 10 more seasons than they should have had. Now, like, even after Steve Hillenburg died, they're like wrecking his final, like his wishes. He always said He doesn't want SpongeBob to have any spin-offs. And what do they announce like a month after he died? We're making spin-offs. It just seems kind of disrespectful at this point. And moving on to the worst final season in history. A season so bad it like completely ruined the legacy of one of TV's most popular and beloved shows of all time. You know what I'm talking about? It's Game of Thrones. It's Game of Thrones. These brilliant books were the subject of four amazing seasons of television. And then they kind of gave up. They kind of threw these two books away. They're like, you know what? Who needs the content from these books? We'll make our own shit up. And while seasons 5 and 6 were still pretty good, the stuff in these books were better. And then they got to season 7, and it became really mediocre. You realize they're rushing things. They're like, oh great, we get to work on Star Wars now. Let's just finish the show, who cares? But at the end of season 7, there were still some good episodes, and I still had hope. And then season 8 happened. Every character was ruined, except for Brienne and maybe Arya. Just the whole arcs were ruined. They didn't act like themselves. They acted like it was like real fan fiction. None of the logistics made sense. Daenerys forgot about the Iron Fleet for some reason. Daenerys became evil for some reason. Jon Snow became like he just was like, yes ma'am, whatever you say. He didn't do anything. It's just a mess. It hurts my head to think about. They ruined my man Jaime. Jaime was one of the most complex characters with one of the greatest arcs in literature and television, and they fucking ruined him. Just what a waste. What a terrible waste. House of the Dragon's pretty good though. But it's just sad knowing that we're never gonna know like how the real ending is because George is never gonna finish the books. He's just never gonna finish it. Because he's too busy doing like 500 other projects. Oh, I also forgot to mention this earlier. I completely skipped over The Office. Just pretend that's between like One Punch Man and Sherlock. You know, it's really simple. Like once Michael Scott left the show after ending season 7, it's just completely lost it. Like he's the main character. You can't really. It just didn't work. You know, and all those dumb plots about, oh, are Jim and Pam gonna break up? Oh, Angela and the Senator and the Oscar triangle. Oh my god. Who's gonna be the new manager? Is it gonna be Robert California? Is it gonna be Nelly? Who gives a crap? Who gives a... It was so lame. The finale was good though. But like the whole like season and a half before, that was awful. Anyway, that's the list. What do you guys think? Are there any shows that started off really strong and completely lost it? Or just, pretty mediocre last couple seasons? Let me know down in the comments below. This is probably the longest video I've made in a long time. But it's been in the working for quite a while, and I have a lot of stuff to complain about. Maybe I should make another list called like best final seasons for TV shows. That would be good. That'd be really good. I feel like the list will be a little bit shorter, but whatever works. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, peace.